Validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. Making it through another Friday, March of 2025. Setting some records here. We're trying to get stuff going. Today we're going to be talking about the flexibility and commitment issues that we have in modern dating. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe. Also, special shout out to Talila, who provided us with $3 of contribution to the show the other day. Really appreciate that. Every little bit helps. So if you guys ever decide to throw something down, you can also do so. And notate that the special likes, emojis, special comments, as well as gifts are all widely encouraged to maintain this solidity of the platform. It is not free for me, I tell you what. Considering everything you like to do for a brother, to also note that YouTube usually takes half of whatever you give me. So I only get half of it. It's the cost of doing business, but I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. So you slide me a tenner, I'm only going to get a $5. Just notes, because YouTube is a business in a business. Hopefully that doesn't discourage you, but if it does, I respect it. Either way, we have coming up, we got some good topics coming up for Saturday. I haven't posted them up yet, but I'm going to be posting them real soon. we are going to be throwing in some other information for Monday, but we know we have our members only on Sunday. And look at that. Let's kick the day off with the first person to come in the show for tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, for the 33rd time tonight, we've got Mr. Satellite back again. He is breakdancing on, what is that? Those backflips 300 times. He is doing backflips while dancing on the roof. This is some very interesting intro moves. I don't know. I think that's better than Chris Jericho kind of thing. Just remember, you guys can always click the link, approve the camera, move the mic, approve the camera, approve the mic, and then it'll bring you on to the show in real time if you ever want to dive in and give your personal shout outs. Let's see. Beyond that, yeah, we're gonna get this show started. So good to see you again, Satellite. We got some controversy that we're gonna be talking about on Monday because I done heard some stuff. So Monday's gonna be some good stuff. Tuesday we're supposed to be talking about those minerals, but I do believe that I'm going to be covering something in addition to those minerals, those precious minerals. In addition to, we're going to be grabbing some other countries for Wednesday. I might do Ukraine, but I think, but I know Ukraine is added to the list of countries that I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to try to get through the list of countries that I give a special shout out to every day of the week because I appreciate you guys for showing us support. So you'll note that I will be making sure that I cover most of these. I think I have, because I've covered Belarus, Nepal, Brazil, Romania, Philippines, multiple occasions, Canada. I haven't covered Mexico or South Africa or Australia, but I haven't really about all the opportunities in Indonesia or Germany or India or United Kingdom. So I did get Russia, and I've been talking a lot about Vietnam, but I haven't really talked about the investment opportunities in Vietnam. So I've already got like a top 10 list of, but Ukraine is in the list. So, and Uzbekistan is also in the list. So we're going to be talking about all of those places. But one of the ones that I definitely want to talk about, in addition to the countries that are already on the favorites list, is I was just thinking about it because it's not Chile, Quebec, or not Quebec. It'll come to me, and when it does, y'all gonna be like, "Oh yeah, he mentioned that yesterday." Beyond that, we're gonna be dipping in this, and Mr. Satellite, you can tell us some of the differences, because we're gonna be diving into the world of modern dating, and we're gonna be figuring out the flexibility over commitment and whether or not commitment still matters. We're going to be putting the modern day dating to the test, where modern dating being a complex landscape where individuals are consistently navigating their desire for freedom and their need for connection. Ironically, in a country that is turning into a military state, it makes no sense, but the less free, the more freedom you have, the more responsibility you have. And the individuals that want to be more free also do not want all of that responsibility. And I find that to be very interesting, because with freedom also comes the lack of security. Because if everybody's free to do everything that they want to do, some of the things that people want to do negatively impact other people. And with that lack of security due to the ability for everyone to be equally free, you wind up with more responsibility to secure yourself. Now, having the freedom of security, of self-security, Second Amendment, actually allows us to have a purge week and everybody will be okay. Just throwing that out there. Donald Trump purge week 2025. Now, finding balance between personal freedom and the desire for a committed relationship is a challenge many people face. This tension often leads to uncertainty and anxiety as individuals struggle to reconcile their own needs and expectations with those of their partner. People want to maintain their independence instead of being self sustainable and pursue their own individual passions selfishly and have freedom to make choices without being tied down. But at the same time, they crave intimacy, emotional support, and a sense of belonging that comes with a committed relationship. Can't have both sides of the same coin face up at the same time. This has led to the rise of non-traditional relationships like non-monogamy or casual dating, the polygamous relationships where people can explore connections without the traditional constraints of commitment. This has led to a proliferation of different types of relationships, each with its own unique set of rules and expectations. Flexibility and commitment are increasingly seen as complementary rather than opposing forces. Healthy relationships often balance personal growth with emotional intimacy, supported by open communication and trust. Now, dating apps have transformed how people meet, offering convenience, but also challenges like swipe fatigue and superficial interactions. In response, there's a growing shift towards more meaningful connection and alternative approaches like matchmaking or curated events. So those date nights at the local whatever, where everybody goes there and does like the speed dating scenario and see if you guys can meet up with somebody, which I don't know. I'm kind of for speed dating, but I'm also kind of not for speed dating because how much can I learn about you in 5 minutes? Where typically you're going to check yes or no on a person based on how they look, smell, and sound, assuming that the person before you didn't piss you off to the magnitude where you're not interested in whoever's sitting in front of you right now, specifically because you're mad at the person who just got up. It is definitely a form of extreme fatigue because the shift does not give you time to like decant from the last person you engaged. So in one of those swing dating scenarios, you're going to be meeting dozens of people in a short period of time. And you're probably not going to remember anybody. If you remember a few, be lucky. The ones that you fancy the most. Now, social media has amplified expectations in relationships, often promoting idealized images of love that can create unrealistic standards. And this has always been a thing we've been talking about on the show for a while, because the highlight reels of some of the best moments in somebody's relationship is not the entire relationship. The parts of the relationship that nobody talks about, the arguing, the fighting, the disagreeing, the yelling at each other, that stuff that's going to happen more often than the highlight reel. They might post one 60-second video every day of the week or 4 times a week. But that 60-second video that might take 3 minutes to put together is 3 minutes out of the day. The other 23 hours and 57 minutes could be pure hell. But if they can put on a good show, you would think, oh, they've got the perfect marriage. That's not the case. And very few people are doing the live live 24 hours a day kind of situation. those individuals probably would make a lot more because they're going to have a lot more people popping in and just staring, because apparently people are entertained by watching other people live while sitting on the couch doing absolutely nothing. Remember, we just talked about it yesterday, that there's this massive phenomenon of NEETs, individuals that have nothing going for them. They're not working, they're not going to school, they're not training, they're not employed, they're just existing. And they're living life through something else, through another medium, whether that medium is video games, mass multiplayer online role-playing games, or reality TV. Like that's crazy. But the younger generation are embracing transparency and authenticity in their dating. Trends like loud looking, where individuals clearly state their relationship goals up front, are gaining traction. We've actually been definitely promoting that you put your expectations down up front, because if you put your expectations down up front, you prevent from going down a path with expectations that are not projected, that then are not met, because your partner doesn't know that this is an expectation. And then the party continues to not meet those expectations until one of you gets dissatisfied and leaves. The dynamic of this is very important, because when men are dissatisfied, they'll stay in the relationship and do less. When women are not satisfied, they make the men miserable until the men change. The men's misery will cause the men to leave the relationship to find peace. The woman's misery, after the man isn't fazed by the woman's behavior, will cause the woman to abandon ship, instead of the woman putting more effort into providing positive reinforcement into positive change. Likewise, the man paying more attention, since men are inconsiderate and women are selfish, the man not paying attention would probably be part of the reason why there's a lack of recognition of the woman's needs, and his ability to pay more attention to his woman would probably aid him in his ability to be successful. So voicing and vocalizing your concerns is a clear gateway to improvement in a relationship. That fried chicken is going down everywhere. Now, older generations, me, you, some of the other, because there's about 50% of us on this channel right now are over the age of 25. So like all of us middle age, actually, I think we're between 25 and 45 is half the podcast. So all of us old folk often lean towards traditional long-term commitments, but are also adapting to the modern approaches like slow dating, which emphasizes deeper connections over an extended period of time. And I want to talk to the ladies about this slow dating scenario, the phenomenon of slow dating, which like people claim, oh, you're rushing into it or whatever. The thought of slow dating, you have to realize, is another dynamic that men have been leaning on, that women aren't paying much attention to, that really determines the reason why men are going for much younger ladies. So let me explain. If you are 35, you typically reach menopause by 40. If you're not experiencing premenopause at 35, you hit menopause at 40. You're not having a baby with the guy as soon as you meet him. You're going to date him for a year or so or whatever and see what happens. That 5-year gap, you're only likely to have one kid, maybe two. But the fact is that the closer you get to menopause, the less likely you're able to have at least one child. So giving you ample time for slow dating, where a man might spend 3 to 5 years getting to know you and another 2 to 3 years before he starts putting an effort into creating a child deliberately, you're looking at 5 to 8 years before the first kid is born in a relationship, which means that the relationship would be 9 years old. The child would be 1, which means that you'd have to be at least 28 for that to happen. And if you had a second one, you'd have one kid at 28 and you have another kid at 32, and that's it. Or well, you meet her at 28, and you have a couple of kids, whereas you end up dropping the first kid at like 29 or 36, something like that. But like, that's it. Now, one of the things that we've been thinking about, that we've been having a lot of debates over the last couple of months. And I thought that it was pretty interesting, because I noticed that people talk about the abortion thing still, and they're still graduating on their concerns of like who has the right to parent the child and this, that, or give birth to the child or terminate pregnancy or stuff like that. Women are withholding their parenthood until they reach a certain age, usually the age when they are no longer able to bear children. And then I thought about it, and I was like, wait, we have technology. And with that technology, we could actually bypass the women's desire to wait until they're 40 and the man's desire to still be a father at 40, which would ironically fix the problem. Now, before I talk about that, let's go ahead and give us a special intro shout out to a while. He's been very busy, but special shout out to Carl as he drops in today and give us some really good insight on today's topic. I'm throwing down intro music for each person that pops in from our This and That podcast special soundtrack.
To chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting
I love you too, brother. We got to make it work around here. It also gives you guys a sample of the whole album. I could imagine pyros right now, standing ovation. Yeah, it's crazy. Now,
my potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground.
that's pretty cool. So as I was saying, I come to a dynamic that kind of fixes that scenario, because women want to have abortions until they're 40. Men want to be fathers, and women don't want to be mothers until they're 40. They're no longer able to drop those children. I've taken care of my mom in the home right after work every day, brother. Hey, I understand, because we were actually talking about that before, because you and Usman both have to go and take care of family. So you're not always able to be here. I completely understand that. You can also put it on the phone and put it up low and listen to it from afar while you're doing stuff at the house. And if you got Bluetooth, you can play it, especially if you have YouTube Prime or YouTube Premium. You could turn it on and have it playing in the background, have the phone in your pocket, and be listening to it while you're doing what you got to do, with one earbud in and one earbud out, so that you can hear what they're saying. There's always ways to make sure that you can at least hear what's going on, even if you can't participate. So no worries. Take care of family. I always put family first. I look after my father as well. I took care of my mother till she passed. So, it's all about making sure that the people that you care about are in the best of health. But what I was saying was, since the women don't want to be mothers until they're grown, and the guys want to be fathers, but the women don't want to be mothers until after they're too old to be mothers, the dynamic that I decided was, wait, why are the women not talking about being surrogates? The loose women that want to have abortion, they use poor health as an excuse to validate abortion, but they're really having abortion because they slept with the wrong guy, didn't have protection, and got pregnant. That's the usual dynamic of where abortions are coming from. The men that want the children, not the women that were attacked and didn't have a choice in the matter, and now the woman is stuck with the child. The woman that voluntarily got engaged with this guy, the action occurred, the child results from this, but the woman isn't ready for a child, so she terminates the pregnancy. Why not get as many of your eggs as possible store them bad boys somewhere, and then get a hysterectomy. That way, you will never have a child accidentally. I think that would be a phenomenal scenario. Now, granted, you got to be able to afford to store them, so that's not going to be very cheap. But I was like, wait, that's a perfect thing, because if you freeze your eggs, and then, well, don't scramble them, but if you freeze your eggs, then when you're in your 40s, you can find you a surrogate, and then you could take your husband's sperm. You can go ahead and do that with the surrogate. He still gets to be the father that he wanted to be. You still get to be the mother at the age you're ready to be the mother at, and you're not eliminating the father's right to be a parent. Because really the argument is that she doesn't want to do it yet. It happened too soon. She's killing it because she doesn't want to do it. Guys are upset about that because as soon as it happens, they want to be that father. So just eliminate the what if by putting like 40, 50 eggs on standby and then terminating the rest of them before they ever become, because nobody complains about the eggs that don't get fertilized. They're complaining about the ones that did. So if you just take like 30, 40 eggs and put them on a shelf somewhere on ice and then gut the rest of them out like calamari, escargot, and now you don't have the capabilities of producing any, which means you never have the opportunity to get pregnant. Probably a better decision to go. But this is one of the things that we analyze the alternatives. Now, women are going to say, oh, that's my body. You shouldn't have to deface my body like that. But it's like, no, it's a conscious choice. You're going to voluntarily do this to yourself because you're not ready for a kid until you're ready for a kid. And you're a grandma when you're ready for a kid. So, which is one of the reasons why Asia has a population decline, because they're taking too long to get to the childbearing thing. They're like in their mid to late 30s dropping their first kid instead of having 3 or 4 of them by the time they're 28. There's a generational gap right now, like 25-year generational gap, which is horrible because that means that the elders that have all the wealth are going to die out and the kids aren't even old enough to be responsible yet. That it is what it is. Now, emotional intelligence has been considered essential these days for meaningful relationships. Traits like self-awareness, communication skills, and emotional regulation are increasingly prioritized over physical attraction alone. Romantic gestures are evolving into micromance, which is microscopic romance, where small, thoughtful actions like sharing playlists or inside jokes carry more weight than grand displays of affection. So, speaking of sharing playlists, there's a way where you can create a playlist for your relationship, and you and your partner can throw your tracks in there, share the link, and just like when we used to do the mixtape, you can actually do that these days. Bayside diving in. First time tonight. Special shout out to Bayside, who's representing Oaktown. Oaktown is apparently in the house tonight. Really appreciate Oaktown for showing up.
Higher ground.
I like that one. Carl says, I had a vasectomy, but I regretted it. I reserved it, but it didn't work. Tried 2 times. That cost was very expensive, but it's not about the money. It was a stressful time. He said, wow, the feed is super clear. Well, yeah. You guys just dove in. you guys just dove in, and yeah, we definitely rocked the house on that one. Oh, hold on, guys. Before I get to you, Carl, we got KJ in here. KJ came in. Oh, wait, I already did that one. Let's do this one. KJ gets the other one. He said, "Hey, council, KJ." Special shout out to KJ Kelsey or Kaylee. I gotta get it right one day. First time tonight. We should start pouring in right about now, because we usually start having a pretty decent open discussion right about 15, 20 minutes after I start, because I usually get things going right about now. He said modern jazz. No. Metal and indie rock that was made for the Higher Ground podcast. It was more of the exciting kind of situation that delivers a message of self-improvement and empowerment. So Higher Ground, the three different variations of Higher Ground, Elevation Protocol, and Non-Negotiables, are all like upbeat, supposed to be like energetic kind of thing. So it's not like a smooth jazz contemporary style song. I mean, I can always buy some and add them to some tracks, talk to alanito.music and see if the guys in Switzerland can create some more for us. But no, they're pretty much, it was a creator's choice, really. I didn't even specifically ask for them. I did a collaboration with him, and he offered to, after doing an interview with me, he offered to create the songs for the podcast. He was really motivated by the podcast, and as a result, he threw the songs together, and I was like, wow, that's impressive. Bayside says, "Sorry to hear that, Carl." Now, yeah, it sucks that you had the surgeries aren't guaranteed. Women sometimes after pregnancy get their tubes cut and tied and burned, but that the body heals itself, so that may not last forever. And if the surgery happens and the surgery wasn't effective, not necessarily saying that the doctor didn't do it right, but the surgery wasn't effective, you may have to spend, it's discomfort that you have to experience every time you have to go back in there and get the surgery again. But the fact is that if that is what you're doing because you're not ready, then, you know, it, like you said, it's the frustration of you don't want to have the children, but the vasectomies aren't working. So that is, it turned out good. Bayside in the end had a beautiful boy. But see, that's the thing. A guy is not going to complain because his vasectomy didn't work. Now that part is going to be devastating. I lost my wife. Now, did you lose her because of the pregnancy or because of the birth? Because see, now that was one of the reasons why women were talking about abortions makes sense, because if the child, giving birth to the child, causes the mother to lose her life, then the women should be able to abort the children. And I was like, well, yeah, I can agree that if the child's survival is limited and the mother's survival is diminished by carrying the child, then it might be more beneficial to save the mother. But a lot of the times when you're in that situation, you're not going to, you can't say, unless you've been in Carl's shoes, that you would have chosen to keep mom and get rid of the child. And then on top of that, the emotional distress that he had to go through to lose mom to have the child, that's the other issue. Because how do you think that situation would have rolled out if mom would not have agreed with Carl's decision to keep mom and not keep the child? That would have led to a negative relationship, would have led to a breakup or a divorce, which is also an issue. He said, no, just a lot of other stuff. She's a great mom. Oh, so she had a chance to parent the child. Oh, okay. Oh, so that's different. Okay, good. So So having a kid wasn't an issue, which usually it's not. There is a chance that parents can have complications at birth and lose their life at birth, but it's not that frequent that giving birth is a bad thing. So that's one of the reasons why we were talking about that. But yeah, I was saying that instead of women running out there having all these abortions, killing the children, why not take like half dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen of your eggs, put them on a shelf, and get a hysterectomy? That's why Carl was mentioning about his vasectomy. See, guys who don't mind being a father, you don't necessarily have to get that vasectomy. But if she doesn't want to be the mother, you could put her eggs on a shelf and then get you a surrogate later and have the surrogate incubate the eggs, and then you could end up with a child down the line. It costs a ton of money, but these are the compromises that you make so that you're not going through the natural birthing process. But when it's meant to be, like Carl told you, the blessings happen. And beautiful baby boy, he got out of his situation. Beautiful baby girl, I got out of my situation. It works out for us. He said, I was a selfish person until I became a born again Christian. Did not know how selfish I was till read my Bible. Well, most of us do not know how selfish we are, selfish and in some situations inconsiderate, until we step back and look at how we are treating other people in comparison to how we expect ourselves to be treated by those exact same people. And that is one of the reasons why I have been preaching on this show for the longest period of time about uniformity, because we get this vast misconception of equality, where equality is having the equal opportunity to perform an action, but equal equity gives you the equal accessibility to the success of performing the action, which is different. Because being able to walk up to a car and being able to see over the dashboard to drive the car is two different things. You can have equality to have access to that car, but one of you is going to be capable of driving it and the other one's not. Having equal equity would give the person that's not capable of driving it equal quantity or equal accessibility to the vehicle due to the increase in resources, which is not equal to the person who can do it on their own, so that the person who couldn't do it without the assistance can now do it. It's equivalent to for those of you who know how to play golf. It's like living life on a handicap. So the people who are more than capable of doing this, they've got to play it straight up. But the people who are not capable of doing this, they get a handicap. For those of you that are not familiar with golf, it's equivalent to a head start. Now we got us a new guy. Have I run through all 5 of them already? Special shout out to Jason. He says, hello, Morpheus. Definitely. I haven't been on a Matrix since 2019? But actually, it's got to go further back than that. I think it was like 2007, 2009, something like that. However, good to see you, Jason. We are talking about the flexibility and commitment of relationships.
Higher ground!
And that is one of our Higher Ground theme songs for This and That podcast. Oh, when I start having like 50 people coming up in here, bro, we're probably just going to have to keep using the same song until we finish it and then move on to another one, because the first like 35, 40 seconds of it is really good, but the rest of it is awesome. And we kind of got to finish off the song when we start one. Either way, many singles are delaying romantic commitments to focus on their career growth and financial stability, as well as their personal development, which is what we were talking about yesterday with the Gen Zs that were quitting their jobs because they did not have the autonomy that they were looking for, which is a different dynamic than what the rest of us used to do back in the day. Now, this shift has redefine traditional timelines for settling down. Because usually you should be able to meet somebody in your youth, probably with between 18 and 25, you marry and then you start having children, where you would have had your 1 to 5 kids by the time you're 35, so that when you hit menopause, your kids are all teenagers. Um, the career driven society that we have now, where women are willing to postpone bearing children until they're in their 30s, where they're less capable of having children, that's when they start deciding to be mothers, which turns into a conflict of interest for their personal agendas. Bayside says the revenge and quiet quitters. The quiet quitters. They're not quiet quitters, bro. They're flipping tables. Did you see that kid that quit Walmart? He threw milk all over the place. He was squirting honey all over. They arrested him for the way he quit his job, bro. And then after he quit his job, he destroyed the store when he quit his job. Then he proposed to his girl right before they handcuffed him and took him to jail. I don't know why they do these things, and they some of them do it for the views, but it is clearly revenge quitting. Now, some of the people we were talking yesterday, they call it smart quitting. It's only smart if you quit before you get fired, bro. It makes no sense at all. Exactly. They crash outs. Exactly. They're like Paul Walker in their life real quick. And I don't understand why they do this, but they're claiming that because they don't have the work-life balance, that they don't want their jobs. And as we were discussing yesterday, it makes absolutely no sense why you need more money. The jobs are not paying enough money, and you want to work less on your job so that you can enjoy the pleasures of life. Now, clearly, since at least here in America, most of the children are still with their parents until they're 26 or 30 years old. So there's very few of them, unless they got kicked out, that are living on their own income. So those are the mentalities that are willing to say, I don't need this job. Like we talked about yesterday, the large quantity of NEETs that exist. Individuals with no jobs, no job training, no educational training. They're not going to school or anything. They're just existing, probably on a video game console somewhere, because somebody's paying for their standard of living. That's why they're capable of doing that. Because if nobody paid for their standard of living, they would be living in a cardboard box, or they'd be working every day so that they could have a standard of living. But when individuals can subsidize their standard of living by putting, if mom and dad is paying for most of the bills, and then they just want you to give a third to kind of cover the spread, and that means that you only got to work enough to cover the spread. And if that means part-time work, you don't need a full-time job. So you want to go hang out and have fun with your buddies, because your bills are paid for if you put up 1/3 of the cost to live there. Now, if everybody else quit their jobs and you had to take care of everybody, you wouldn't be able to go hang out with your buddies, because you'd have to work that full-time job and pick up a second job and probably work overtime on that one as well, which is what we grew up on. And the Gen Zs have changed the dynamic, because, all of the rest of us are too old to do this. We're retiring, and companies have to depend on the Gen Zs now. The Gen Zs are going to run the country, whether it's into the ground or make it a success. It depends on the motivation of the kids. And as it stands right now, the emphasis on intentional dating, same way as their intentional expectations for promotions and raises and other such, without even having the skill set, is changing the dynamics. Like, real quick, we understand that you go to college to get a degree. The degree doesn't match with what you're going to college for, the career choice to go to college. The degree has no skills training, just textbook smarts, which is one of the reasons why we did that show a while back, the difference between book smarts and street smarts, because you learn skills with street smarts. You know stuff, trivial information, with book smarts. A lot of the kids these days that I teach ask me, how does this apply to real world applications? And I have to literally connect the dots between what we're learning and how that actually applies in life. Now, if it doesn't apply in life, I've got to say, yeah, the only real world application you're going to have is your next exam. But you got to know this because it helps you with critical thinking. It helps you with thinking outside of the box. It helps you with analyzing alternative ways to find a solution to a problem, even if the math in and of itself or the concept in and of itself doesn't apply to real world applications. But the lack of connectivity between the job and the degree, you could literally print a degree offline because they got to still train you on the job, go to a job and lie and say that you went to college without having the college debt, get the job, learn how to do the job from being at the job, and save money and still probably function better than somebody that actually went to college. Dropouts are more capable of work than people who have gone to college, because the people who have gone to college rarely had to work, especially full-time college students that are living off of multiple grants and scholarships and stuff. They didn't understand that. Now, with these individuals seeking relationships aligning with their values and long-term goals, you're starting to see a shift in dating patterns, because as their goals change while they get older, the type of relationship that they want to be in also changes, which means that when you are all about having fun, 16 to 18, you're thinking about bettering yourself without actually having a plan between 18 and 30. Then you decide to change the plan so that you can find something more stable between 30 and 40. You would have changed out of 3 different styles of relationships: one that's irresponsible, one that's marginally responsible, and one that is increasingly responsible, where you are eliminating any irresponsible decisions, which also means that you're going to need a different type of person. Because if the person that you got in the beginning is a party girl, she is not going to want to be responsible. Then when you start putting extra responsibility on her, she's going to bail. You get a marginally responsible girl, and then you switch over to extremely responsible. She's not going to be ready to be extremely responsible. That girl is going to bail out, and then you're going to end up finding another girl. Now, the thing is, mama always said, don't find a woman on a level where you're at. Find a woman on a level of where you want to be at, because you are not forcing her to change. You are changing to meet and exceed her. So you're supposed to find, if you're a $100,000 a year man, you're supposed to be finding a $150,000 a year woman so that you can become a $200,000 a year man. If you're a $50,000 a year man, you should be trying to find a $75,000 a year woman so that you can surpass her and be a $100,000 a year man. You're a $30,000 a year man, you're supposed to be going after a $50,000 a year woman. Then you're supposed to surpass her and be a $75,000 a year man. Finding somebody better than you so that you can learn from them and move up in your life and in your relationship, where the fruits of their investments in you makes you more successful and you share your success with them. That's what women are missing in these relationships. Women are dating the man that's the finished product instead of dating the man with the potential to be the finished product, which you get what you paid for it. That's that scenario. And if you didn't pay for it, you don't get it. Now, singles are prioritizing authenticity and clear communication about their intentions early on. Personalized matchmaking is gaining popularity as people crave human intuition over algorithms. Slow dating has become a movement towards building deeper connections through shared experiences rather than instant attraction. Trends like loud looking, that encourages daters to explicitly state their needs, and deal breakers up front, reducing misunderstandings, has become a form of radical transparency. Casual relationships typically lack exclusivity and long-term planning. They focus on the here and now, with partners often avoiding deep emotional investments or commitment related to future-oriented discussions. Now, flexible relationships allow individuals to maintain independence while exploring connections without formal labels or obligations. They are often marked by spontaneity and minimal expectations. So we're just going to wing it, see what happens. It is what it is, YOLO, right? Now, casual dating often includes physical intimacy, but without the emotional depth or prioritization seen in serious relationships, which means, yeah, they're going to sleep around with one another, but it's nothing serious, right? Dating apps have made it easier to meet multiple potential partners, typically multiple potential sexual partners, fostering a culture of abundance and choice, which actually turns more men thirsty for sex into verbalizing their thirst. Makes it harder for the good guys on the dating apps because the attractive women are getting a bunch of guys that are just looking for that hookup when that girl is looking for a meaningful connection. Now, the guy that is looking for a meaningful connection will get passed over. She'll swipe left on him, swipe right on the other guy, and the other guy's like, hey, when can we hook up? And then the women are saying, and we're listening to it every week on Sundays, how they're complaining about how the guys that they talk to on the platform are only after them for sex, when 55% of my platform are a bunch of men that are willing to have, if they haven't already married and settled down, they're willing to and looking for the ability to marry and settle down, and they have not found the right woman because the women aren't presenting themselves to be valuable. So we have a dynamic where the left half of the room does not know that the right half of the room exists, yet nobody is paying attention to what they're supposed to be doing to get the other half of the room to pay attention to them. This has also led to hesitancy and a fear of commitment, as people feel they might always be better matched somewhere else. Now, many individuals prioritize personal growth, careers, and financial stability over romantic commitments, delaying traditional relationship timelines. Trends like situationships that's been highlighted in Gen Z's performance, these guys would prefer for ambiguity and non-traditional relationship structures over the uniformed traditional factors, where we're sleeping with each other, we're not dating, but I'm not allowed to sleep with anybody else while I'm sleeping with you kind of situation. It's a situationship. Technically, that's a committed relationship, because if you sleep with somebody else, you're not a couple, but if you sleep with somebody else that's not the person that you're in a situationship with, you cheated. It's not considered cheating or in any way, shape, or form unfaithful if there wasn't an expectation of faithfulness in this situationship. So having that untitled relationship is one of the ways that it keeps the gen, like, for example, the current generation, they can't say that their feelings are hurt. They cannot express the fact that they feel pain. They have to, quote unquote, catch feelings like we're fucking playing baseball. It's like if you throw something at me and I dodge it, I didn't catch shit. You're saying they're catching feelings like an STD. Like, what are you talking about? And it's crazy because they're making it seem like it's a bad thing to fall in love with somebody, to feel sad or depressed, to be angry over the sadness. And that's not the way to be. It's a deflection of emotional stability. It is a lack of emotional intelligence, while the expectation for emotional intelligence is there. But that's where we're at. So the situationships involve some emotional and physical intimacy without any type of defined roles, excluding any type of actual commitment. So if she finds another guy that's more suited to what she's looking for, your friends with benefits situationship dissipates to her committed relationship with somebody else. And I say it like that, ladies, because if a guy is sleeping with you on a regular basis and you are the only girl he is with. You are in a committed relationship in his mind because he has no interest in anybody else. So just because you're not interested in him, you're sleeping with the guy who is interested in only you, and you are not giving him the opportunity or respect that he deserves to be the only man in your life as you play the field. Wash, rinse, and repeat. Then when you come back to the guy, if all of your failed relationships and failed prospects come about, then you'll give the guy the time of day. But until that happens, if somebody else tickles your fancy, you ghost the guy, and then he waits for you to hover back around. Casual relationships provide space for personal exploration and independence. The lack of formal expectations can reduce stress and allow for more relaxed interactions. It also allows you to have no responsibility, which allows you to have no form of self-control expectations when you're not with your partner hanging out in open public. The absence of clear boundaries can lead to confusion, mixed feelings, and heightened levels of insecurity for some individuals. Over time, the lack of emotional depth in casual relationships may contribute to loneliness or dissatisfaction, especially for those seeking deeper connections, which is another reason why the relationships last for 1 year, 5 months, 6 days. The rise of casual relationships has been particularly notable, with many people opting for short-term connections over long-term commitment. Technology has played a significant role in shaping modern dating, providing countless opportunities for those connections and the heightened ability to have communication. But the different generations have distinct views on what commitment really is, with some valuing traditional long-term relationships and others embracing the more flexible approach. The influence of social media on relationships cannot be overstated, as it provides a platform for people to curate a perfect image of their relationship, often creating unrealistic expectations and promoting consumerist attitudes towards love, meaning that you're going to be encouraged to spend more money and invest more resources into proving how much you love and care for another person. Buy him this, buy her that, take her here, take him there. And it's not about the money, but that leads many to prioritize their careers and financial stability so that they can have that money. They're looking to work on their personal financial growth over a romantic relationship, because if you don't have that consumerist attitude towards love, you're ideally expected to not be successful in relationships, when that's the furthest thing from the truth. But this leads to the delay in settling down. The shift has significant implications for the way we approach dating and relationships, as people are no longer following the traditional norms or expectations. So the key insights into modern dating reveal that flexibility and commitment are not mutually exclusive, but rather complementary aspects of a healthy relationship. By embracing flexibility, individuals can create space for personal growth, exploration, and spontaneity, while still maintaining a deep emotional connection with their partners. Now, research has shown that couples who prioritize communication, trust, and mutual respect are more likely to navigate the challenges of modern dating successfully. Communication is essential in any relationship, and being open with your partner about your needs and desires can help you find a balance between flexibility and commitment. Okay. So I like the way this person trolled us today. So we're going to do this here. Daddy. Yep. They took his face and put it on their profile and decided to dive in and troll the channel. So special shout out to Diddy. I hope that you're enjoying your baby oil. Now, I got some questions for you, Diddy. How's Kelly? because I know you guys are sharing the same cell. He just dropped an album while he had his 1 3-minute phone call. I hope that you guys are really enjoying yourselves. Cosby got out, so I mean your homie's not there, but you got to think 30 plus 1 years from now, you'll be free. I don't know what to say, but we're gonna address Diddy's comment real quick. Diddy says that suit looks cheap. Why do Americans always combine weird colored shirts and ties with their suits? That's a good question. Well, great compliment there, telling me that my suit looked cheap, because that means that I am doing it right, because you're not supposed to look expensive to be expensive at the end of the day. Americans have since the 80s been overly exuberant about their colors. They like diversification instead of being plain, so they put a lot more effort into putting a bunch of weird colors together. Now, ironically, these colors are neutral colors, so I mean they technically all blend together, but you might prefer orange on orange or black and white stripes, because I mean that does kind of work well with your eyes and your bars. So yeah, but it's good to know that you are fascinated by my suit. Thank you very much, Diddy. It's been a pleasure today. Now, trust is also crucial, as it allows partners to feel secure and support each other even when they are apart. Now, one of the things that is very key in being in a healthy relationship is when you feel supported by your partner. So if you're ever in a situation where you feel like you need assistance, before you even start asking for that assistance, your partner is there to provide you with that assistance that makes you feel supported, that makes you feel more valued. And it's not just giving you money. It could be aiding you in the laundry if there's too much laundry to do. If it could be any scenario where this looks like a lot and your partner is able to note that you're about to get in that by yourself, that they should be able to dive in it with you, because that looks like it shouldn't be required for one person to do. This should be a multiple person operation. Notice how on jobs where they expect everybody who works on a manual labor job to have the ability to pick up 50 pounds or more. That's what they expect from a manual labor job. But OSHA requirements require anything over 20 pounds for 2 people to lift. So while you can physically pick up a 50-pound item by yourself, they would prefer you and another person pick up a 25-pound item together. And that same mentality in a relationship should aid you in your ability to be successful. Just because your wife can carry the groceries in by herself doesn't mean that she should. She comes in with some in hand. The question is there more out there? If the answer is yes, you should not ask, do you need help? You should just go out there and go and help them. All right, so let's look at Diddy. Diddy's got some insight. Only colors and dress shirts should be is black, white, light pink, and light to medium shades of blue. That's wrong completely. We ain't Soul Goodman. Those colors will make the tie and suit combo look more international or intentional. Okay. Look, I had to look at these words. You got to zoom in with the glare from the light. So you're telling me that you would prefer to see pink, black, or white, or a medium shade of blue, which has nothing to do with green, lime green, brown, tan, suede, But yes, you can mix those colors together. And I have mixed some of those colors together on some days. If you go back and look at some of the last 135 shows that I've done since I've worn a different suit every day to the show since March of last year, you'll see that there's a plethora of combination of colors. A lot of the times I match my colors to my tie. But either way, yeah. Respect to the critics. Notice, remember I told you guys yesterday, you're not doing it right unless somebody's hating on you for it. So, noting that somebody created a trolling profile just to come in and communicate about my suit so that they control the channel leads me to note that I'm doing something right, because while we're sitting here talking about flexibility and commitment in relationships, we have this Diddy profile that is communicating about my suit, which has nothing to do. And on this and that, we talk about this, that, and everything in between. So by all means, I entertain appropriate straw topics, but having a straw topic off of a straw topic, Diddy's hating on my suit from prison, but bro, I'm free. So I get to go out and buy me a new suit whenever I feel like it. But I also like to save money and wear the cheap looking suits that I have because they look nice. I can't tell. She says, I didn't make them account for you. I did it for English dude called SGLPROO programming, SGL programming, and have been scrolling through lives since then. So you created this account to troll somebody else. And then after you did that, you just started scrolling through YouTube till you got here, and now you're trolling me. Hey, well, it is what it is. I'm not going to stop you from trolling me as long as you keep it reasonably appropriate. I don't give a fuck. I mean, the more the merrier for us. A lot of people start off by trolling, and then all of a sudden they come to learn that you can learn some shit from here. You can save, make, and invest money by hanging out here long enough. You can learn about some different ways to improve your decision-making processes on your relationships. And then after a while, you're like, damn, I need to come back over here and see what this guy's got going on, because he's here 7 nights a week. We typically start off at about 10 o'clock. We don't let the sun rise without going live. So if you swing around at about 10:15 and we hadn't started yet, swing back around one more time. We should be started. We're on every night of the week. We usually give about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours on the show on average. But when we have really good topics and a lot of feedback, we sometimes run 3 to 5 hours long. So if you scroll through YouTube a little bit more, you're going to pop back up on the channel in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Because unlike other ones, we're like one of the most underrated, most electrifying podcasts that provides you knowledge on how to improve yourself and improve your wealth. And that's not something that a lot of people can say. You have some that are exclusive to improving themselves and some exclusive to improving your wealth, or at least letting you know that there are ideas that you can utilize to make yourself wealthy without telling you where to go to get it done. Yeah, I sub for the content, but I'ma still be Diddy in the chat. I don't care if you Diddy in the chat, bro. You can Diddy your day all day long. I don't care. It is not my concern. You do whatever makes you feel good. But once you finish scrolling through all of the ways that you can make yourself financially successful by some of the information that I provide onto the channel, you'll be able to jump on here and be on point with putting extra ducats in your pocket. And that's really what I care about. I don't care if you troll me. I care about if you learn something from me while you're trolling me, and you're able to take some of these money-making ideas and flip a couple things and make you some extra bucks, where you can come back and say, hey, even though your suit looked like trash, I made a good business trade yesterday based on your advice from today. And that's all I care about. Bayside say, yo, X, what's your thoughts on men requiring NDAs, non-disclosure agreements? Are you talking about for the girlfriends and the wives? because we were talking about having girlfriend contracts back in the day, and then after we were talking about girlfriend contracts, which actually is just a mutual agreement between both parties, because it's not actionable in court unless you start talking about the division of assets. Okay, so I'm gonna put this back up here then, and we were talking about that because if you have a girlfriend contract, you have the terms and conditions of the relationship. It's not an actionable thing in the oh, that's not going to protect your assets. It's going to protect something else, but I'm going to talk to you about that. The girlfriend contract gives like the terms and conditions of how to interact with one another, but because it is not controlling assets, it is not actionable. But when you create a dating contract that is the authorization and utilization of assets, it is actionable in court, which is equivalent to a prenuptial agreement, which allows you to grant accessibility to certain oh, I see you. He said to protect assets. I'm gonna get to that because it's not about the assets, but it's gonna be more important than the assets. Protection from gold diggers. The prenup protects you from gold diggers to a degree, but putting all of your assets in a trust protects you from gold diggers overall. And that's why we talk about trust, because the gold diggers can only sue you in a divorce and take from you what you own. Everything that the trust owns, she can't take from you because it doesn't belong to you. And a trust that is a irrevocable private trust is a self-sustainable entity, just like an LLC or a C corporation. Just because you work for McDonald's doesn't mean that a girl can divorce you and take all the money out of McDonald's. If you own the McDonald's, she can divorce you and take half of ownership of the McDonald's. But if you because they're separate entities, she can't take from you what's not yours. And that's why we talk about trust all the time. When you start building money since the women want the final product, they're not building the guy up to the final product. Since they want the final product, before you start dating that girl, before you start committing to marrying that girl, you start putting all your stuff into a trust. And then the trust owns all your assets, all the way down to the dishes. Everything, you sell it to the trust. And now the trust runs it. The trust maintenances it. And all the maintenance costs from the trust can come out of any capital gains made with that trust, which defers that trust from paying taxes, which is extremely important for individuals. Now, when we were talking about the prenuptial agreements, oh yeah, look, see, courts are crazy in favor of women for some reason. The reason why courts are favorable to women is because since before 1950, no, non-revocable. It's irrevocable, non-revocable. So let me help you out with that. Irrevocable. See that? Irrevocable. That means that it cannot be revoked. So for those of you that are watching us on Twitch and Twitter, it is irrevocable. The irrevocable trust. And actually, it's a very long, drawn out terminology. It's supposed to be an irrevocable, non-grantor. Oh, that's all right. I understand. You got it's the autocorrect that tends to mess us up from time to time. But it's irrevocable, non-grantor, thrift spending, private trust. And you can have a life trust or a asset bearing trust. I would typically do it in a country that is tax free so that you don't have to pay taxes on the trust. But back to this NDA question. When you're doing that contract, you're basically saying anything that you own, she's allowed to utilize that. Now, you can lease stuff to people where they are allowed to use for a period of time or for a duration of time or for an acquisition of status. But say, for example, if the car that you drive is not your car, it's your company's car, your company is leasing it from the trust, it is not your car. So in order for you to allow your girlfriend to drive your car, you would have to have a sublease type of agreement where you are allowing her for the duration of time to utilize the car, and then she must return the car after such time. Otherwise, the car would be considered stolen. Here we go. Do you have light sensitivity? Genuine question. Yes, I do. And with that nice glare coming directly into my face, I have had several migraines when I allowed the light to go over the top of these lenses, which is why you see me kind of facing the light. And without the light, it would be dark in here, and then you guys wouldn't be able to see me. So I have to adapt. Now back to this NDA question. So having those girlfriend contracts start making sense when you start putting all your stuff into a trust, and then you have your business, have the thing, and then you say, okay, well, I will allow you to use this vehicle for the week. I will allow you to use it for today. I will allow you to borrow or operate the vehicle for X period of time, and then it must be returned. You have to have that control of those assets contracted. Otherwise, you can't touch none of my stuff. You can't use nothing that belongs to me. If you want something, I'll buy it, and that one is yours. The other one is mine, and there is no switching of the two. I could take your car and go somewhere with it, but my car doesn't move because it's not my car, right? Now, aside from prenups, we've already talked about the prenups. Non-disclosure agreements means that you can't say shit about what's going on. And that's why I wanted to talk to you about the prenup thing. I wanted to talk to you about the girlfriend contract, which actually the girlfriend contract can lead to a marriage contract, which is like a prenup to a prenup kind of situation. But the non-disclosure means that there's nothing to be said. You are not allowed to speak on what we've got going on. And if you do, you will breach this contract. And in breaching this contract, whatever the levels of penalty for that breach is, what you will have to compensate me for that breach. Now, the problem with NDAs is that you are not allowed to utilize an NDA to avoid them reporting criminal activity. The rich people can push that because they have better lawyers. Poor people, not so much. But within reason, as long as whatever you're supposed to be keeping secret has nothing to do with anybody's personal safety or the commission of any crimes, they're not supposed to talk about anything. So to answer your question, Bayside, a non-disclosure agreement with the way women talk trash about men, definitely a good way to go. Because take, for example, I've experienced this before. Take, for example, getting an NDA on a chick. Like, you're dating this girl. She can't talk about what's going on inside of this relationship. She starts talking about what's going on. Well, she starts saying stuff, and the stuff's not true. Right? Now, here's the funny thing about an NDA. In order for her not to have breached the NDA, she has to prove that she did not make true statements about the situation. Because the NDA doesn't say you can't lie about what's going on. The NDA says that you can't tell what's going on, right? So if you didn't tell what's going on, you didn't break the NDA. But since you didn't tell the truth, because you didn't break the NDA, you just committed perjury. Where now I can transfer your perjury to state or federal counsel, where they can prosecute you for perjury. Then I can have your perjury discredit your credibility in the courtroom, which prevents the judge from being on your side going further, which means it benefits me to have an NDA. Now, NDA agreements are not finite. NDA agreements only means that they cannot talk about what's going on, as long as what they're not talking about is not abuse, violence in any way, shape, or form, or any kinds of criminal activity, fraud, or anything to that effect. As long as that's not what's going on, they can't talk about nothing else. So if they're saying you ain't shit because you cheated, well, you can't talk about that. See what I'm saying? He got that from his cousin. Yeah, you can't talk about that. So Diddy says, where'd you get your education from? I got my education from multiple colleges across the country. He said, oh, okay. It's gaining traction with men to do this. Bro, trusts, prenups, definitely, Carl. I'm gonna see you again. He said, have a good night, my brother. God bless you guys. Yes, sir. And I'm gonna see you tomorrow night. You swing by if you have the time. Since you're looking after your mom, give her my prayers. Make sure you let her know that we're thinking about her, and make sure that she knows that I want her to stay in the best of health for as long as possible. And make sure that you take good care of yourself as well, because spreading yourself too thin, Carl, will have you exhausted. Can't take care of other people if you ain't taking good care of yourself. So you got to get you some rest and relax. You know, maybe drink your beer or something like that. It might not be inside of your wheelhouse. Or drink your beer, drink you some sweet tea and relax. Some hot tea that actually is really soothing. Get you some hot Lipton tea, and then just, you know, listen to a good TV show, podcast, whatever. If you like some jazz or classical, like some of the other people talking about earlier, just listen to something that helps you like decant and meditate, relax, and you'll be just that good. Feel so much better. But yeah, definitely. A lot of men are picking up on NDAs, but the end, you got to understand that an NDA is not going to protect your assets. A lot of Bible studies are good. Now you can do audio tracks for Bibles, and audio tracks are good because what you can do with an audio track for a Bible is you can listen to somebody else's interpretation of the Bible, or them just reading the book to you as you go to sleep. And a lot of times individuals with like monotone voices such as myself, them just talking about the word of God puts it into your mind as you're sleeping, where your subconscious mind is getting the word, which helps you with your ability to get a REM sleep, which allows you to get more rest. Because most of us are light sleepers on a regular basis. I need to educate myself on the Bible more, but I never make time for it. And if you start using the audio file, you will. So Bayside, back to that traction. A lot of men are tired of getting fucked over by the women, so we're not putting that much effort into allowing them to steal all of our stuff, since we have to put all this effort 3/4 of our life to be financially successful, so that she can swoop in. And if she doesn't like the way things are, she can swoop out with 50% of what we earned over 3/4 of our lifetime, where she only put in few months to a couple years into the marriage or the relationship. And then all of a sudden she's walking away with half of a lifetime worth of stuff. So people are starting to do NDAs, which prevents women from speaking bad about the person, because if nothing is allowed to be said about the relationship, you cannot talk to your friends and family about our relationship. You cannot talk to your boss about our relationship. You cannot talk to anyone about our relationship outside of maybe a therapist or a counselor or a priest, because the client provider confidentiality prevents them from talking about this with anyone else. But anybody outside of a priest, a therapist, or a psychiatrist of some sort, you're not supposed to be talking to anybody about this. And if I find out about it, then I can take legal action against you for speaking about us. That's what the NDAs are for. And I more than encourage those NDAs to be included in any kind of prenuptial agreement that you have. So, but you got to also remember, though, in a divorce, women divorce men because they're not satisfied since 1965, because women used to have to divorce a man because he abandoned the marriage or he was abusive. After 1965, women could just divorce a man because she wasn't satisfied. But because since before 1965, before women's liberation, did not have jobs and did not have a standard of living, the divorce ratio was that he was the one that was making the money. And because she's leaving her source of income to maintain her standard of living, it was his responsibility to pay for her standard of living, since he failed the marriage. Because back in the day, women were one step away from being property, two steps above being black. And at that time, if he didn't mess up the marriage, she would stay with him for 50, 60, 70 years. Now here in 2025, shoot, some women will marry you just to get divorced. They'll consummate the marriage just to get divorced. You have to try to get to an annulment where you're like, nah, we ain't even consummate yet, so that you can't get divorced, or so you can get the divorce and she can't get your assets. But like I said before, ladies would be more entitled if they found a man that was building something, because the marriage clause requires anything built during the marriage is divided between the two partners. Some states are 50-50 states. Some states are equity invested states, where what you put into this is what you get out. So if you put 15% into the marriage, you get 15% out. But if you have a trust, what they put in, once it gets transferred over to the trust, they can't take anything from the trust, especially if it's an offshore trust. So the only thing that she might be able to get is if she sues you for alimony, because she can prove that you have an income from a trust offshore. And again, when we start talking about the NDAs, while if you're not reporting your offshore assets to the U.S. government, if she whistleblows on you, technically that violates the NDA, but also she could potentially be protected from that if in the event that that's a reporting of a crime. I would still go for it. If she was to whistleblow on a situation and that puts me in a compromising situation, I'd sue her for breach of contract of the NDA and let her pay for her own lawyer to try to prove that she did. Usman said, tour guide, behold. Is this the first time you here tonight? Look, y'all. Look, y'all. Here we go. We've got first time tonight. Usman drops in. That's the word of the day. He said, the tour guide asked, behold, the pyramids of Egypt. Anders said, geez, if you ever want to rent them out, let me know. Because I'll set up an Airbnb and rent out the pyramids. I love these though. I love these though. This one's actually really catchy. I'm gonna have to spin this one time. That one's actually pretty catchy. I'm gonna have to start using that one. I'm gonna have to spin that one some kind of way. I gotta take time, because you know me, I've been doing back-to-back efforts, working on things and trying to push stuff. I have not found a moment to stop, and I just got on to 3 different affiliate projects, which requires us to promote certain people and certain companies. And I'm like, dang, I gotta put this video together, I gotta put this together, I gotta, you know, and then I got to do a show every day. I'm not going to do the show. So I'm like, I'm going to have to do the show first and then see what time I got left after that. Because otherwise I'll mess around and not do the show. So, you know, but yeah, I'm going to try to spin that one. I'm going to see if I can come together with a different intro. So I have 2 different intros to alternate and use that one as another one. Usman said that green shirt is shouting smooth and early 2000s at me. Actually, it is, because it's a 100% cotton with a satin tie. And that's why Diddy said that the suit looks old. Well, of course it's supposed to look old, because this style is from 15, 17 years ago, which means that it's not going to be a today style. I'm not wearing slim fit nothing. I'm not wearing skinny jeans nothing, because it makes absolutely no sense to do that, because I'm not skinny. You know, 165 pounds, 5'6.25". I'm a little bit taller than Matt Hardy and Rey Mysterio, so I'm not skinny, you know. So I can't see myself compared to a man that's like 120 pounds at 5'7", trying to, sag with skinny jeans on. I don't know how they managed to do that, but they're managing to do that. They got legs like twigs. I don't understand that. We used to get picked on for having bird ankles is what they used to call it back in the day, but they rocking it with pride today. We used to have extra baggy clothes because the stuff that we carried inside of our clothes needed extra space. See, but with the clothes that we used to wear back in the 80s, you could have a shotgun and an AR-15 in your pants and nobody would know. Nowadays, you can't have a peppermint in your pocket without everybody thinking that that's a print. Its clothes is too tight. He said classic look doesn't go out of fashion. Oh, I know, but the young generation doesn't know anything about the classic look, because the closest they've seen to the classic look is the Pinky Blinders, where those guys that are walking around in the same 1920s attire that I wear. It's just that because it's a few dozen guys that are in unfamiliar territory where nobody knows what a suit looks like. They see 5 guys walking in suits looking like old Italian mafia. They think, oh, these guys are thugs. No, they're influencers. They get views by putting on a suit and walking down the street. Probably the only time a man can get 100,000 views just by wearing clothes is when they put on those 1920s pinstripe Italian suits that most people don't know anything about. And it only stands out and catches eyes because nobody pays attention to it. It's for sale every day and it's very cheap, but nobody actually looks at it. Oh, hold on. Usman said, you just need that Yorkshire hat. Oh yeah, like a fedora or something like that. I do, I got to figure that out, because if I have to either get me a bigger headset to put it on top of the hat like Jim Ross did on WWF, or I would have to put it on under the hat, which means I got to get a wider brim hat like JBL. But yeah, I was thinking about that. That's not a 1920 fit. 1920 is very slim fitting. No, it's not. 40s is the one that's loose. No, 1920s is not slim fitting. 1920s is fit straight. When you're referring to like the bell bottoms and stuff like that, that's like the 70s, where it kind of like clings to the, it's not even really the waist when you think about it, because in the 1920s, the men's pants came up to like right here, like way up there, like above the belly button, like above the rib cage kind of thing. And then they had their vest on top of that, and then they had their blazer on top of that. Now, in the, I want to say 40s and 50s, it started getting a little bit lower to the belly button, but it still was up there, and they had the suspenders. Then you started getting into the 60s and 70s, where the men's pants were below the belly button, still had suspenders, started doing belts, and then it shifted from that to having it like almost too low, but all belts, no suspenders. So when you're looking at 1920s, it wasn't slim fit. It was actually called tailor fit, because slim fit is like tight. Tailor fit is just, it fits your body. It's not like baggy in some areas and tight in other areas. It's not like loose in some spots and not so loose in others. So that's really the difference. X, wherever you go, you'll be received with respect. Well, that's the truth. The idea of being in a suit is going to demand a higher level of respect than wearing a pair of jeans hanging off your behind with a t-shirt not tucked in and your shoelaces untied. As long as I vocalize and articulate in an educated fashion and not lose my temper in the conversation, I demand a higher level of respect by filtering my words and then taking the time to be explicit about my demands. Actually intimidates individuals, because the fact that I'm persistent about my expectations until I get them, and then in addition to my persistence, I'm not flexible to my expectations, so I'm not going to negotiate less than what I know that I'm entitled to, based on the fact that I've already rationalized what is fair for me based on what you're getting that I believe is unfair to me. I've already balanced the scale. So when I say, nah, I'm only going to accept this, most people that looks at that situation is going to turn around and say, he is being more than fair. Because if I ask for too much, it's like when we were kids. Mom will make us break the cookie, and then mom will let the other kid pick which half of the cookie they get. If I'm the kind of person that's going to break it uneven, I risk losing the largest portion of the cookie. I make it a point to break it as even as possible so that no matter what half I get, I still get exactly half. But it teaches me not only how to share, but it teaches me logic and reason. Could just get Bluetooth earphones. Well, okay, the problem is that it's not the cable, Diddy. It's not the cable. The fact is that if you put a hat on while I'm doing the show, I'm either going to wear this on the hat or wear this under the hat. I have not found, and it doesn't mean it don't exist, but since you mentioned it, I'm going to look into it. I have not found a headset that is like Bluetooth earbuds that connect to the laptop, because I'm doing this off of a laptop, not a cell phone, where I could still be able to host a show with earbuds on. Now, when I find that, I will most definitely get that. So that's a great idea, Diddy. I'm glad you told me that. I'm all about learning new things, but so far what I've found is the earbuds are compatible to cell phones. I'm not streaming off of a cell phone, and I have not found earbuds that are compatible to a laptop that not only has the input sound where I can hear what people are saying, but have the output where I can say stuff and people can hear what I'm saying. Because they do have some listening devices where I can only listen to what you guys are saying, but I need the ones where you guys can hear what I'm saying as well. So I have to figure that part out. Now, if I was to go through the extra effort of getting a wireless mic separate from the headphones, where I can then have the earbuds connected on one side and the mic connected on another side, then I can do something like that. But as it stands right now, I haven't found all of the stuff that I need to connect it to this specific Lenovo laptop to make everything work. He said belts were invented around 1910 and got a big boom during both world wars because of the military use. You're right, but even though they were invented in 1910, they were more using suspenders in 1920 than what they were using belts. And you also have to recognize that during the World War, 1941 or 1942, that was 30 years after the belts were created. And you have to remember that the Civil War in 1961, that by the time they started utilizing those belts, that was when I was telling you everybody was wearing belts in the 60s and 70s. So you and I are both on the same track with that. But the fact is that suspenders were more popular in 1920 than belts. And suspenders were widely used in the 40s when the pants were lower than up here by your chest. Because in the 20s, if you look at a photo of a 1920s pair of pants, you'll see them way up there by the chest. That's a black and white photo. You're not going to see a color photo of 1920s. Because they didn't have color back then. 1940s, it's above the belly button, but lower than the chest. So there's a little bit of gap between the chest and the belly button. And then after the 40s, you start seeing the pants going below the belly button. And that's when belts started becoming more popular and more widely used by men. And also the military uniform wasn't all the way up the chest either by the time you got to like 1960. I agree partially about the suits. I think someone with a perfect fitting outfit will usually always look better than a bad fit. So perfect suits, default, respect, bad fit can look like kids in dad's suit. Now that is true, but the that's one of the reasons why you have to make sure that you go and get you a tailor. So I agree with you 100% that definitely if you have a perfectly fitted suit in modern times, if you have a reasonably fitted suit, you would be able to make that situation work. But in a situation where the suit is just like the pants are too long, the pants are hanging off of you, the sleeves are too long or way too short, where you can barely fit in the suit, kind of thing, it does make you look like a clown. But when we're talking about a reasonably designed suit like the one that I'm wearing right now, it fits me to the letter. It is a very comfortable suit. The buttons up the way it's supposed to button up and fits very pristinely, even though it might look aged in comparison to what other suits would look like in today's economy, since we've got Americans with colorful suits like T-Pain with his like color splash suits and stuff like that, that a plain suit like this looks more boring and old than a newer design suit, because they want to add panache to all of the attire. But suits never go out of style, though. So you can always wear one. If you get one and take good care of it, you can wear it for half your life and it'll always be there for you, because it's not an in season. It's not a trend thing. It is a thing that is related to your style and your social class and sometimes social status. So that's one of the reasons why, suits will grant you more respect than non-suits if you do it right. But very rarely will you see an individual that is not in a suit acquire more respect and appreciation than somebody in a suit, outside of the person not in a suit being wealthy or having connections. But two average individuals, one without a suit and one with a suit, yeah, the person with the suit would definitely outdo. Diddy said, with earbuds, I use them with my laptop. Could just be the age of the laptop, though. I don't know, because this laptop is from 2023. So I got it right before I started doing the podcast. So I can't really say, but I have not found any specifically for this Lenovo. So I will do some research since you mentioned it, and I'll see what they have out there for it. They have a lot of devices right now that are doing USB ports. And right now I have a printer and the headphones and two cell phones attached to the laptop right now. So I want to make sure that if I was to disconnect the headphones and disconnect the printer, that I could still, and I also have a 2 terabyte solid state drive connected to the laptop, but I'd have to disconnect some of these things and connect the Bluetooth ports for the earbuds and stuff to that effect, and make everything work. But if I can get it done, I definitely will. He says, the worst mistake I always see are people suit sleeves being too long. Even some presidents have this issue. That is because the suit, okay, so you have a shoulder length, and then after that, it's all sleeve. So like a 42 is the shoulder length from side to side. And then you still have the length of, it's either going to be too short or it's going to be too long. And if it's too long, then it starts covering your hands. Now, some presidents, so not just presidents, some individuals have an excessively long sleeve to cover their hands because they got something in their hands. Some individuals don't really care what they do. And a lot of times they just borrowing a suit, because like presidents, rich people, Elon Musk, they will put that blazer on for the sake of decorum, not because that's their actual outfit. So that suit might not be their size. It might fit their shoulder length, but their arm might be longer than the person that actually owns that blazer. But a billionaire is not going to go to the store and buy $100,000 suit so that they can have this conference. He's going to take one of the guys he works for and says, "You're about my size. Give me your blazer." Put it on and start doing a thing, and then give them back the blazer, because why spend money on buying a blazer when I could just take a blazer off of somebody in a room, wear it for this conference, and give it back? And that's why you would see even presidents that are not wearing suits that quite fit them well. because they don't have to. They are already at the top. But they know how to save money, because the rest of us will be like, oh man, I got to go buy me a new outfit so that I look good for this photo shoot, or I look good for this conference. You don't have to buy a new outfit. You just have to wash a good one that you already have and just put it on with confidence. Bayside says, so you feel that modern dating culture is more about flexibility, not or to commit until you see unfit. Actually, from what as I was reading through, thank you very much, Bayside, for redirecting us back to the main topic. Modern dating culture is going to allow more flexibility away from the traditional dating platform, which is allowing individuals to have their cake and eat it too, per se, where those individuals are able to date without commitment until they cannot determine their partner is unfit. So that way it's almost like I'm going to keep all of my options, like Ash Ketchum. I'm going to collect all these Pokemon. I'm going to hold on to them for a while. And then as they fail me, I drop them. When the last one there that hasn't failed me, that's the one that I marry. That's pretty much how the dating scene is going right now with flexibility. They're able to explore more options while maintaining their current relationship. But that's not the way dating is supposed to be. They're supposed to be able to recognize that this is the person I want to try to make it work with, not explore other options, focus on ways to make this relationship work. And then if all else fails and a relationship dies and there's no recovering the relationship, that's when you should abandon the relationship before exploring other options. But life is short, from what people say, even though we're close to 100 years old, a lot of people, and it makes no sense why with this age range that you're going to say that people living into their 80s and 90s, that you in your 30s can't live another 50 years with somebody. So why not make it work with that person? In and out of relationships, doing a fast track in less than 2 years. So Bayside says, Xander, how do you feel about flexibility in modern dating? So, okay, you asked me that question twice. So what I feel like the flexibility is stupid. It's a level of insecurity. You don't have the confidence in the person that you're dating, but your fear of being alone prevents you from being able to really drop the person that you have. So you've got somebody that you don't want, but you can kind of tolerate. So you'll keep that person until you find somebody that meets more of your expectations. It's like buying a used car when you really wanted a Hellcat, but you got this like Nissan Maxima, and it's okay for right now. And you might drop the Maxima for the Audi if you end up with the Audi, but you really wanted a Hellcat, and you might stick with that Audi unless a Hellcat shows up. Once the Hellcat shows up, you're dropping an Audi for the Hellcat because that's what you really wanted. That's how people are dating. But see, I come from a generation where the first one that you got, that's the one that you keep. That was it. If you wanted a Hellcat, but you got a Nissan Altima, if you got you a Honda Civic when you really wanted a Hellcat, you're going to suit that Honda Civic up to beat that Hellcat. That way nothing comes to, but that's building it up. That's supporting it. That is investing in it, which is what women don't do for men in modern day relationships. You don't expect the best. You find the potential in something and make it the best. Instead of buying you a Hellcat Scat Pack, why not buy you a smart car and put a Viper engine in it and make it the fastest car on two wheels? Literally. Didi says, I like good leather jackets too. I think a well-fitted and styled one elevates people like mad. Well, I can agree with that. Leather jackets are definitely a very good style, and it prevents you from being requiring to carry an umbrella, because if you have the right full-length trench coat, you'd be able to walk through the rain. And if you have a leather hat to go with it, you would be able to walk through the rain without needing a raincoat and keep yourself dry. Now, that doesn't help the people that walk with you. They might need an umbrella, but would you care? You're in a full-length trench coat with a leather hat. He said, modern dating lasts as long as the modern attention span. The modern attention span is extremely short. 15 seconds is the average viewership unless something is said to keep their attention longer. So usually people are in and out in less than 30 seconds. And if in the event that you maintain their attention long enough, they might last 5 to 30 minutes. But they're not hanging out 2, 3, 5 hours. Only those that are seeking intellect or those people that are ratified by the intellect being provided are going to maintain stay past that time frame, which is, it's interesting because since it's not an overly attractive female that's exposing herself on this podcast, I'm not going to have a few 100,000 followers on here watching the show because there's a rack on the video somewhere. And it's terrible that our mentality is that way. But the fact is that in order for the 24,000 people to come through whenever they come through and watch me on this channel, they're coming because they're listening to a man that is telling them ways to make themselves better, improve themselves financially, and make better decisions. So it's just like, oh, I want to learn something from this guy. He's got wise words. It's not just a blanket motivational speech. It's like literal research that is being provided to the masses where people can honestly say, I didn't think about it like that, which helps them change their position. Diddy said, I agree. It's really bad with younger people to do the lack of experience. There are so many people who keep people they don't even like that much due to the fear of being alone. And you know what? That is also called the friend zone with women that say, oh, I've got a lot of male friends, but they don't understand that you're dating. You have all of these dudes that would marry you and give you the rest of their life, and you are keeping them as friends because you don't want to be alone. You'll cry on that guy's shoulder about the dirtbag that you was dating, but you won't give that guy that you're crying on the shoulder of the time of day to make you be the valued woman that he thinks you is, even though you for the streets, because you running through the streets, you going through all of your prospects, you got 5 men in your back pocket and you're not trying to explore any of them. Makes no sense. No man holds on to 2 or 3 different women that he hasn't explored. If each one of them is a third of the woman that he wants, he'll get a third woman so that he has 3 women to make 1 woman. But that's because each one of those women are not interested in being the kind of woman that fulfills all of the man's expectations. Now, I'm not saying that that's right, but he's not going to have potential opportunities. What it's going to be is, well, she can do some stuff, she can do other stuff, and she can do the stuff that the other 2 don't do. And ladies, y'all shouldn't even argue with that, because if you don't feel like doing that, why do you want to be exclusively responsible for the areas of your man that you don't want to tend to? Why don't you leave them areas for the second woman? It benefits you because you're still getting all the benefits of being the first woman. Diddy said, nah, for real, strolling through lives, and every stream with an attractive woman gets 35 plus views instantly, and some even got to throw hundreds. Oh yeah, on a podcast, women will throw down, like if especially if she's sitting there in a way where you could potentially get a crotch shot. Oh yeah, you'll see a few 100,000 people going through that live. You'll see the comment section moving so fast that you'll see five comments hit the screen and they swipe, and she'll only respond to 1 of 5 that so quickly. It'll be so many comments up there because, and most of the comments, oh, you're beautiful, you're gorgeous, you're attractive. You're the false sense of ego building up this individual. She gonna think that she just shit on a stick. And the fact is that she's just as valuable as every other common woman that is not on a live feed showing off her body. Now, the problem is that the other women that are not receiving all of those compliments are humble. The one that's receiving all of those compliments is going to take that compliment in vain, because, I mean, so many people tell you that. So you're not going to be offended by, or well, you're not going to be affected by the compliment. Take a man that's never been given a compliment. Give him a compliment. He's going to feel like gold. But a woman that always gets a compliment, they might actually be offended because you didn't compliment him. You didn't earn one. You didn't earn one. It's supposed to be natural. So you can't tell me that people deserve a compliment for tying their shoes every day. You don't deserve a compliment because you look good every day. But if you never look good and this is the first time you look good, that's when people start saying, oh, hey, you clean up nice, which means you finally look good. A compliment for a new change, not compliments for for existing. Bayside says, what about being friend zoned? Well, the friends, okay. Back in the day, you used to start off as friends. Everybody used to hang out with one another. Then guys would like girls and they would talk about it with their homies. And then the guys would decide which girls are going to date. And then they would start coming together. Once they start coming together, they're group dating, still as friends. Eventually, they will branch off in pairs and they will date exclusively, where it's just the two of them. And then they will go and hang out with their friends, which means that now they're identified as a couple. They went from friends to a relationship. That was back in the day. Modern day, the problem that we have is, yep, I'm gonna get on that. Modern day, the problem that we have is that a woman uses the phrase, no, thank you, we can just be friends, or I'm not interested in dating right now, but we can be friends. I appreciate the gesture, but I would hope that we could just be friends. Some kind of way they're giving you the rejection on your romantic advances with the consolation of let's just be friends. Friend zone is the reject zone where all of the potential suitors that wanted this woman got rejected, but she's going to keep them in her back pocket. Those guys will be guys that will perform husband characteristics when she needs a babysitter, when she needs advice, when she needs protection, when she needs money, when she needs somebody to help her with something. All of the things that a boyfriend is supposed to do, all of the things that a husband is supposed to do, she's going to get that from her male best friends, with no requirement for reciprocation because we're just friends. So you don't have to sleep with your male best friends to get stuff from your male best friends, but you can provide fanfare to your male best friends by doing things like changing clothes with them, take them shopping so that they can watch you take off. I'm going to try on some new underwear so they can see you in underwear and stuff. And that just gives them the ability to say, oh, whatever you need. But the fact is that is still all boyfriend behavior, husband behavior. A woman is not supposed to have male best friends when they're in a committed relationship. But if you are a man that is interested in this female, you are not supposed to be in the friend zone. You are either in the relationship or you're rejected. If you are rejected, you walk away. Nobody applies for a job, gets turned down from the job, but covers the shifts when the shifts are short and not get paid for it. Doesn't happen that way, but that's friend zone. Right? So, why are we doing that? Why are we requesting to be the boyfriend or the husband? And then when she turns us down on that application, we're still going to do the work without the compensation. That's the friend zone. Bayside said, too many women consider OnlyFans a career. Bro, I got to give it to the OnlyFans because they're doing online what they was going to be doing on the streets. Trump ain't got to them yet, but he said that he was going to get rid of pornography. So at some point during his first 100 days in office, he's probably going to take that hammer. He's been dealing with more important stuff. But he's got 4 years to do something about pornography. When he outlaws adult content for sale, because free adult content is not what he's talking about, even though it should all be encompassed. Adult content for sale, when that becomes illegalized, OnlyFans will be banned because they cannot donate to the channel for adult content. They cannot subscribe to a channel that produces adult content. They cannot acquire a membership to a channel to get adult content. And that's when them women that are on OnlyFans will end up walking the streets like Los Angeles trying to make that money in person, which they're going to make way less in person than what they're making online, because they can get a 5,000 or 6,000 people to give them $100 or give them $10,000, and they can make $100,000 a month online from the comfort of their house with the random John that they decided to select. That's probably one of their fans that paid them a ton of money beforehand. But in person, nah, between like $20 and $500. And in order for them to start making 50 grand, they're going to start going through 1,000 guys, which means the OnlyFans girl got more miles on her than a used Porsche. Like 999,000 mile Porsche got $0 of value on that. I don't know why they think that they got value when they're going to call this, like you said, calling this a career. And while they're calling this a career, they are, he said, Black on the Blade, aka track. They've got the look, the AKA track, that's crazy. That's crazy. And she had a kid, you know that, right? That's why she retired out of the game, because she was probably gonna do this until she died, but she got pregnant and had a kid, so she retired out of the game. I wonder which one of the hundreds of guys that she was sleeping with at the time is the father. But point of the matter is that that's going to be an issue too, because the women believe, oh, I'm valuable because I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing the other, I'm making money. But then if they have children, if you have been a porn star for 10 or 15 years in this day and age, because back in the day, we had women in magazines. If you didn't buy that magazine, nobody knew. Today, you're all over the news, the media, social media, all over the world. If you've been doing this for 5 or 10 years and then you quit, there is so much content out there that your kid is going to be getting into fights. They're going to be getting jumped. If your kid is a girl, she's going to get mistreated and devalued by the boys in the school because of how their mother behaves in the past before the child was born. And women don't believe that that's a bad decision. That's a bad decision. They're looking at it for the easy money. It's the easy money. And the fact is that because it's such easy money, they have no problem, because they're looking at the plus sphere. They're making a bunch of money. They get to come a bunch of times. That's all they're looking at. But the fact is that after all of that pleasure and profit walks away, any children that you have is destroyed, because your reputation sets the par for your children's reputation. Your reputation sets the par for your family's reputation. So if a man marries you, his reputation is the simp that married the ex-porn star. His value goes down because your value is that far down as an OnlyFans girl. Women don't understand that. A man of high status can marry a hooker. It's possible. But a man of high financial status marries a hooker after he scrubs her entire history from the internet. Nobody knows who she is. And she cannot go back to that lifestyle. You got simps that are dating these girls while they're still involved. So you're telling me it's not cheating because you're getting smashed for money. But if I go sleep with somebody else is cheating, nah, that is not uniform. We're not going down that path. These women are throwed. But that's one of the reasons why they have flexible relationships, because she could be dating you. She can go out of town, sleep with some dude, come back with a stack of cash, buy you a nice bracelet, and then go back to sleeping with you. Like last Sunday, we were on the show. Dude told us on the show how he had been dating this girl for almost 2 years. And then he got chlamydia from her Or no, it was worse. She got chlamydia, but he didn't have it. So he was going to get tested because he was trying to figure out what was going on because she got it, which means she got it from somewhere. She talking about it was dormant forever. Right. Like the dinosaurs. Bayside said traumatic for kids and embarrassing. It's extremely embarrassing. It's degrading work. You're not supposed to say or do anything in your life to bring down your own personal value. That's why I tell you guys that you have to think and operate like businesses. You are not supposed to make decisions that compromises your own personal integrity, regardless of how much money it is. Bayside said women have the nerve to say you're insecure if you don't get over my past. Oh, of course. But women have to accept the fact that they are so insecure that they have to go through a man's cell phone, look through all of his apps, check all of his Google searches, look at his GPS location to make sure that he's looking at a better valuable woman, a woman that of more quality than a woman that he has. If you are the perfect specimen for me, I shouldn't have to look anywhere else. Which means that your level of insecurity that you have to search my every being so that I can prove to you that I'm not finding somebody else or even looking for somebody else, you would have to know that you are valuable enough for me. But because your subconscious tells you that your actions make you worthless to me, you know that if any woman talks to me, you know how valuable I am. You know that that woman will take me in a heartbeat. So the only thing stopping me from leaving you is the fact that I haven't found somebody better than you, which is why women are going to make a man not talk to any other woman to prevent him from finding better by accident, because men don't look for other women. When a man gets a car, that's all he's focused on is that car. He ends up with another one. It's not because he looked for it. You know what I mean? Women parade around looking for other men. They're dating a man, leave their man at home and go out with their homegirls who had a night on the town, girls' night, so that they can fan their behinds in front of other men. Men don't do that. Men, once they got a woman, they at the house, they with their boys, they're not out there on the prowl looking for another woman unless they're not satisfied with the one that they have. So if she knows that she's not good enough, she is going to cling to him to make sure that he doesn't find better. And that's her fault. But yeah, you're right. They're going to say, yeah, you get over my past. All right, well, you get over my height, you get my income status, you get over my asset levels, and just accept me for who I am then. The women are in left field with that. Diddy says it's all about power. They like the fact they can have any guy they want while controlling another. Hence why if the dude starts as well, they all get mad. Okay, so this is the thing, Diddy. Women don't have that power. Women demoralize men and then force them into submission for the sake of sex. Men who are thirsty for sex will bow down and submit to the woman for the sake of sex. Because of this, if she's willing to have sex with him, she can control him using sex, and then she can go get another guy. Some guys who are thirsty for the sex, she can hang out, she can dangle the potential of sex like a carrot on a stick on that one guy and trail him along for a while she's sleeping with another guy, while she's interested in another guy. And that's how they would end up with the control of multiple guys. See, the woman can't just control a guy. All of the guys that she's controlling are sexually desiring her. But the fact is that if each one of those men gauge her value, none of them would be fighting for her. All of them would say, that's all right, you can have her. But because men are looking for a partner, women are looking for financial stability. When a man reaches a certain level of financial stability, no woman will say, that's all right, you can have him. They're going to say, no, he's mine. Right? So it starts with the dude allowing himself to be put in a friend zone, which allows the woman to control the narrative. If a man rejects the friend zone as a consolation prize and refuses to allow her to circle back and try a second time, because if I make the advance to you this month, then if I hit the lottery next month, you're going to come circle back and try to date me the month after that? No. When I didn't have nothing, you told me no. Now that I got something, no is no. Don't allow them to circle back. Because if you allow them to circle back, they're going to drop you while they think you're nothing. Then they're going to touch base as friends to see how you're doing. And then once they start seeing your success, then they start considering dating you because they have no other prospects on the plate. But you are not their first choice. You're not even their 100th choice. Sometimes you're not even their 10,000th choice. You might be their last choice because they can't find anybody better than you because you spent 3/4 of your life making yourself this good. But when she met you, that was 15 or 25% of your life ago that she could have been with you this whole time. But y'all were just friends. That's bullshit. I ain't letting that happen. Basically, I said 80-20 rule equals mate is 80% everything you want in that person. 20% is the qualities they need to work on, because nobody is without flaws or 100% perfect. That is exactly what I told you guys on a show before, which is what my mom used to tell me back in the day. If you can accept 80% of a person, then that's a good match for you, because if the other 20% you can tolerate, then you'll be in a good relationship there. That is a good assessment. That shows Bayside's been watching. Ask any man that's been put in the friend zone if they would be intimate with that person. They would say yes. That actually is 100% true. Any man that has been put in the friend zone by the girl is interested in having sex with her. No man is friends with a woman that he does not want to have sex with. He will be friends with the woman he wants to have sex with, and her friend has a friend, or his friend has a friend. So the ugly chick is his friend's friend. So dude might be wanting to smash Barbie and have Shrek as her friend, and he might be tolerable of the ugly chick to get with the hot chick, but he has no interest in the ugly chick. His interest is in the hot chick. So if the hot chick will sleep with him, he will put up with the ugly chick. But when he stops associating with the hot chick, he stops associating with the ugly chick too. In the situation where you have 3 different levels of hot chick, he might be after the hottest chick. He might be okay with smashing the second hottest chick. He might be able to date the second hottest chick, wishing he could have smashed the hottest chick, cheat on the second hottest chick with the third hottest chick. And then if any event he breaks up with the second hottest chick and has the opportunity to smash the hottest chick, he will have all 3 of them hot chicks. But the ugly chick will never get a chance. That's just the way it is. Bayside said, undoubtedly. 100% true. There's a reason the guy best friend is such a common thing with women. Oh, yeah, because you get money, you get social status, you get your protection, you get all the resources, and you have no reciprocating requirements. You sleep with the guy because you feel like it. You don't have to provide any type of support to his agenda. You only come when you want something, whether it's attention, validation, or monetary gains. You're only coming when you want something. And then you might marinate the relationship a little bit by providing him with some emotional support every now and again. But that's about just enough to say that you're doing what a friend would do, but you're getting everything from him that a husband would do. And that's one of the reasons why the women are taking heavy advantage, because a lot of men do not have the confidence and emotional security to say, if you don't want me, I'm gone. They will say, I'll wait. Oh, well, if you're willing to take a number like the DMV, go ahead, take a number. You're number 9,684. I'm on number 29. I'll get back to you. If you're willing to wait, go ahead, wait. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to force you, but I'm not interested in you right now. That's what we got going on. And these young bucks are allowing this. These kids are allowing the friend zone to ruin the dating game. They're allowing the friends with benefits and situationships where he's sleeping with 2 different women that are sleeping with 3 different guys that are sleeping with 5 different other women, where everybody's sleeping with everybody else. Nobody's committing to nobody else. And the only time they really start like becoming more exclusive is when somebody accidentally gets pregnant and a kid pops out and the father is actually standing there. It's not another man. That's when those 2 come together. But if everybody's sleeping with everybody and the pregnancy happens and the child doesn't belong to this guy leaves, and now she's got an illegitimate child, where the next man that shows up is now required to be the stepdad. But the guy that she could have committed with, that could have been the first dad, wasn't even on her list. He said, I can't understand how some dudes have so little self-respect to simp. A lot of men have been raised by women, and they have been raised to be submissive and subordinate to women. They do not know what it's like to be masculine. They do not know what it's like to stand on principle. They do not know what it's like to follow their non-negotiable expectations for behavior, where regardless of how I feel about this situation, if you do not do what I expect you to do, I am pulling out of this situation before I invest too much into this. I am not going to take a romantic loss or a financial loss with a scenario that is not a benefit to me. So if I am looking at first 5 dates, she is not an asset. That makes her a by far automatic liability. If she is a liability, I am not investing in any liabilities. I am not investing in any burdens. She does not want to be told what to do. You are a dependent when you are a liability, and dependents are told what to do. If you do not want to be told what to do, then that means you do not want anything from me, because what you get from me requires you to follow my instructions. So if you're not willing to follow my instructions, I am not interested in entertaining your presence, which stops me from wasting money on your presence, because to entertain your presence, you have to follow my instructions. Now, some people might say, oh, you're not going to find a woman that way. That's fantastic, because I can hop a plane and I can go to 15 different countries and Asia and find women that would have no problem with those stipulations. Philippines, number 1, is the place I tell you about the most, because the women in the Philippines will take $500 a month and not complain and give you the whole month waiting on your hand and foot. You teach them some stuff, they'll apply that stuff. Japan, Taiwan, Thailand, Vietnam. What were the ones that we were just looking at? Chile, Belize, Romania, Switzerland. Come on now. It's not just Asia, South Korea. There's so many places that you can go that's not America. Mexico, where they will give you 15 years of their life trying to make this relationship work before they throw in a towel and say, fuck it. Where the women in those countries are in their 40s divorced, where they got married in their 20s, because they gave the best 20 years of their life. Brazil, Cambodia, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, United Kingdom. We could keep going. These women will do what a man wants them to do because they came up with the traditional styles. The Western American women were spoiled. You're cute. Let me buy you stuff. You're cute. Let me do stuff for you. You're cute. Let me cater to your every whim, because that is their way of saying, I want to sleep with you. Let me do something for you to convince you to let me sleep with you. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. A man is not supposed to start his engagements with a woman by flashing his assets. That's why when Diddy said, I look like I got a cheap suit, that's fantastic, because I don't want any woman to look at this podcast and say, oh, he's got money. I will be the only person that you will see that outside of wealthy people that will not have stacks of cash on the podcast, because you don't need to know that I have stacks of cash. If I have stacks of cash, that should be between me and the people that handle my money. The women that see that you got all this stuff, they're going to come running because they want the stuff. They don't want you. So if I look poor and I'm talking to a chick, she wants me for who I am, looking poor. When she finds out that this poor guy is rich, hey, I got a woman that wanted me for who I am. But if I can only get the chick if she thinks I'm rich, I am only attracting gold diggers, leeches, parasites, which is ultimately going to lead me to having a toxic negative relationship, because the woman does not want me. She wants my stuff. When I run out of stuff, she will leave me for another man with more stuff. And that will be a vicious toxic cycle. So men have to stop starting their engagements with women by parading around their assets. If she's not paying for shit, you're not doing shit that costs money, because I don't need to pay for anything that I do not benefit from. So if I don't see value in you, what am I paying for? Because I am not renting your time. I don't respect that. And that's the Riley theory. If you're taking girls out on expensive dates, a few hours of entertainment, you're renting her time, which is one step away from being an OnlyFans girl. Diddy says modern relationships end so much because of lack of communication. Like, modern people for real can't even spend 2 minutes talking it through. They're not going to work nothing out. If she ain't satisfied, she out the door. If she ain't satisfied, she going to make you miserable first for a little while. Then she's going to be out the door. And that's crazy. And guys, if he's not satisfied, he cheating. That's how it is. Diddy says, doesn't help either that many women have those girlfriends that always talk about how they deserve better, or how they are queen, or something like that. Now, he right about that. You got so many women out here that are single, encouraging a woman in a relationship to be single with them, where misery begets misery. I'm not happy, so I don't want you to be happy. I'm going to encourage you to be unhappy with me. Then while we're unhappy, you and I are going to encourage somebody else to be unhappy with us. We're all going to sit here and continue to convince the next woman to be unhappy with us. But all of us long to be with somebody. So why do we all long to be with somebody, but somebody is going to tell me that I deserve so much better that I'm going to abandon what I'm in, where I already have somebody, where all I have to do is do better, and then encourage that person positively to be better for me. Instead, I'm going to drop this person, start over from scratch, Build-A-Bear. You know how hard it is for you to get to level 200 on Tetris? Why would you just say, fuck it, I'm going to start over? I mean, for real. For real. Do you know how hard it is to outrun the police for 4 hours on Need for Speed? You're just like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to start over. Like, all the work that you put into something, for somebody to tell you you could do so much better, so quit and start over somewhere else. That's equivalent to buying a brand new car, saying, sell it, get you a used car, you can do better. When you never know what you're about to get. Literally, what you have could be better than what you're aiming for, but the grass is always greener on the other side. So as long as you're on this side, that side looks better. But if you don't cultivate your grass, when you go to the other side, that side's going to look like this side eventually, and you're still going to be miserable because you are not putting any effort into the success of your relationship. That's why you don't have better, because you are the reason why it is not better. Not too many people think about that. Bayside said, well, if they deserve better, go buy a cat and grow old alone. That's the thing, though. You get a cat, and guess what? The cat don't give a shit about you. The cat shows up, eats, poops, and disappears. cat all on top the countertop and stuff, all outside the door, all down the street in the yard, getting fed by the neighbor, and then come back when ain't nobody else trying to pet him and feed him, then come back and look at you making a bunch of noise to get some food, to poop, to go lay down, and don't be bothered by you. Why would you come out of a relationship where a man that worships the ground that you walk on to get into a relationship where you're ignored? And you're going to invest more in a relationship where you're ignored than a relationship where you were being idolized. Where does the stupidity stop? Because if you're in a relationship where somebody else loves you, love who loves you, it is easier for you to learn to love somebody that loves you than it is for you to convince somebody who doesn't love you to love you. Because love is a one-way street. It is not a two-way street. If I love you, you don't got to love me back. If you love me, I don't have to love you back. But if I put effort into the people that love me, then I can learn to love them the way they love me. And that is going to be a stronger relationship because that person is dedicated to me. So all I have to do is be dedicated to that person and we'll never fall apart. But if the person that's dedicated to me, I'm not dedicated to them, I'm dedicated to somebody else. That person is dedicated to somebody else. When this person gets tired, I lose the person that I had. When I get tired of the other person, I lose the other person. I lost two people. And for what? If I would have stuck with the one that was sticking with me, then I would always have somebody. And that's not what they be thinking about. It's crazy. Trust is always crucial, as it always allows the partners to feel secure and supported, even when they are apart. By finding a balance, individuals can create relationships that is both fulfilling and sustainable. Desai said, facts. Modern dating reflects complex interplay between the desire for independence and the longing for connections. By fostering open communication, trust, and emotional intelligence, individuals can navigate this evolving landscape successfully, whether through traditional commitment or flexible arrangements. The key lies in finding an approach that aligns with personal values and aspirations. Casual relationships have become increasingly normalized as people seek flexibility and autonomy in their romantic lives. While they offer freedom and spontaneity, they also highlight the complexities of modern dating, where emotional intimacy and long-term commitment are often sacrificed for convenience. Balancing personal desires with meaningful connections remains a challenge in this evolving landscape. Now, I want you guys to make sure that you join the conversation and share your own experiences with modern dating in the comments down below. And if you guys are looking for more advice on navigating the world of relationships, be sure to check out some of the videos that we got coming up tomorrow, because we got a lot of stuff coming up. He said back 33.9. You want me to give you a second outro because you diving back in? We was on our way back out. He didn't flip through the whole. You know what's funny? When you didn't scroll through the entire platform and you back at the beginning, this is where you started 2 hours ago. And this is where you could have hung out at the whole day. But you scrolled a little bit and then you swooped back and you're like, hey, he's still here. He's still here. And it's some good insight. It's some good insight. Either way, though, I appreciate you swinging back by Satellite, Mr. Satellite 3.9. He be coming by 2-3 times a night. He was keeping count like Goldberg. He was doing 3, 9, 12, 18 skipping steps. Like he jumped into 8 shows while the show was off the air. But we caught up now. Satellite gonna be in here more often than Hulk Hogan, I tell you what. It's always a pleasure. Anyway, we got a good show coming up for tomorrow. I'm still working out a lot of the concepts, but I'm going to have that put up later tonight, early tomorrow, because I got a lot of things going on with setting up the promos. There's a Vino Cato, I do believe is what it's called, or Vino Otto. I could depend on what it is. They're supposed to be sending me a bottle of wine. We're going to be talking about it. He wants that intro.
Higher ground, where excellence is found.
Here we go. Beavis and Butthead headband.
Potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground.
That's right.
My network is my network. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command.
I feel like DBZ right now. Like I could power up.
Standing on higher ground.
That's good. That's good. That's that good stuff. The break dance underneath the roof. Snake the joke. So yeah, I got it's supposed to be a wine that we're supposed to be doing, that they're supposed to be sending it to me, and I'm going to be able to give you guys some information on it, where to get it from, some links. I'm going to be throwing it into the show. I got to figure out how to throw these links in every show that I'm rocking it. But there's this other company that's supposed to be producing meal plans. So I got to see what's up with those guys as well. And then I'm looking into, there's a crypto comic book. They're supposed to be giving us some comic books. I got to put that out there as well. So there's a lot of products that's going to start coming in. So as they come in, I've got to make time to record a side segment of it and post that video up, in addition to bringing that product onto the live, because some of these products, I get them for the sake of, I wanted that product and they're going to give it to me for free if I promo it. And then sometimes I actually get paid a few $100s a product because I promote the product. So, you know, you see a lot of the affiliate products in the branded content because I'm actually organizing all of the branded content into one location. Anything that I endorse, I literally don't do a commercial about it if I wouldn't buy it. I'm not buying it though. They're going to pay me to promote it. If I buy it, they got to reimburse me and pay me to promote it. But otherwise, they send it to me for free and then I promote it. But I'm not buying it. But I would buy it because, again, like I tell you guys, I got to invest in making more money, make money for me. Now, when I start turning over larger quantities of dividend investments, then I'll take the dividends and go and buy frivolous things. But I'm not buying anything that is unnecessary when I could be building my wealth first and then use my wealth to give me a better standard of living. So I'm leading by example. I'm not going to tell you guys that you should invest in things and put yourself in a better financial standard and then turn around and just start wasting money all over the place. Diddy says, what's the best way to meet new people in your opinion? In person. One, because the people that you meet online, there's so many people trolling, there's so many people phishing, there's so many people that are not genuinely who they say they are. And then some people don't even use their real names. They've got nicknames up there, hashtags and other stuff. And you can formulate an emotional bond with the idea of an individual. The problem is that once you meet that person, who they pretended to be or whoever they projected themselves as on social media may not be their day-to-day operation. So you might have fallen for that person online, but have no intent of connection with that person in person. The best way for you to determine that this is the person that you want is to engage them in person. Now, granted, because of social media, you're more likely to make first contact with that person over the internet, and to subsidize the need for in-person engagement, I encourage you guys to put more effort into video calling and phone calls in addition to video calling when you don't have the ability to do video calling. Now, because some of y'all are young bucks, Skype has always been free as long as you have internet. A lot of y'all are using WhatsApp, which allows you to do free video calls as long as you have internet. For people that are in Asia, y'all got WeChat for individuals that want to communicate. So there are plenty of ways that you can communicate with other individuals outside of your primary phone plan. That's free services where you can communicate with this person directly. You can visually see them. You can hear their voice. You can hear their mannerisms. You can see their style of dress. You know, depending on where they are, you can see what type of environment they normally put themselves in, unless they put up a green screen in the background. So you know what kind of person that you're dealing with and what kind of lifestyle that they're dealing with for the most part, because you get to see them or see it directly. It is that would be the subsidy, the consolation to in-person engagement. Then you want to make it a point to try to get to that person in person to enhance your in-person relationship. So for long distance relationships, cross country, overseas, you can do that for the sake of not feeling alone, but you don't have accessibility to that person. And if you're the person that's wire transferring money to the other person, you are renting their time, because you're never going to get to see them. One, because any extra money that you get, you continue to send to them instead of you investing it in ways where you can make more money, where you can buy a plane ticket and go over there. Two, because, you know, you don't live close enough to them to get to them on a natural occurrence. And if they're not willing to move back to your country, you're going to do one or two things. You're going to move to their country and live with them, or move over there, have an affair, and then move back and continue your online relationship where you're basically still renting their time. It's like a prepaid timeshare. You're sending money to this female until you get the chance to fly over there, sleep with her a couple times, and then fly back. She could have a whole boyfriend, a whole family. He'll take the kids and go somewhere else and let you come over so that she can make money for him. Because in those countries, the women are more often than not providing for their men, which is why American man looking for a woman that's going to be an equal partner to him would find better in some of the Eastern countries, because the women in Eastern countries are more responsible than the men in the Eastern countries. So the men in the Western country will find their perfect match, because they find somebody that's willing to partner with them to succeed. Whereas women, ironically, Western women will find their perfect match in Eastern men, because the Eastern men are the exact simp that she needs, except he's not paying for anything. She's going to have to be responsible for the both of them, but she gets to be in charge the way she wants to be. There's no dynamic where they're having a battle of control over the relationship, because that's a lot of the times where chaos comes from, because relationships, they butt heads over who's in charge. No man should allow a woman to snatch him up by the collar like he's a 5-year-old boy. The same way no woman wants to be backslapped by a man, she should not be grabbing a man by his collar. You talk to your man with respect the way you want your man to talk to you with respect. If you can't do that, he needs to leave you. Because if no man should disrespect his woman in that fashion, because if he disrespected her in that fashion, then it would be encouraging of her to leave him. So uniformly speaking, you're supposed to treat your partner the way you want to be treated, and yoking them up. If that's not how you want to be treated in life, that is not how you should be treating your partner in life. And that goes both ways. With that being said, that's all I got for you guys for tonight. Ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. And fellas, we're about 75% of y'all are in here as men. I really appreciate y'all. Male podcast from a male's perspective, holding it down, but much respect. Victoria B and all the other women that are coming to learn something from us tonight. I really appreciate that. And every other night. Note that we are live 7 nights a week at about 10 o'clock Central, which is 11 o'clock Florida time, 7 o'clock California time, 4 a.m. Green Minute time, and 4 a.m. Universal Standard Time for those of you that are on the east side of the world. Special shout out to all of y'all, because I'm going to have that feed going across all of the countries that have been showing us love. I really appreciate. Oh, it's been doing that all day. And special shout out to all the fans that have been showing us love. I really appreciate y'all as well. Any other comments that's coming out during the outro of the song, I'll be throwing them up as long as they're appropriate. So don't worry. As I time out, I will still be here with y'all until the show turns off. Thank you guys for coming to This and That. My name is Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I will see you guys tomorrow night.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command.